What makes reading so difficult? I'm not going to answer any sort of questions in this video. I kind of just want to get a brain dump going out. I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, so I'm just going to, I'm just here to sort of yap, give in some insight, invite you to give in some insights as well. But what makes reading so difficult? Um, for some people it comes easy, for others, like myself, it's a bit hard. And in this sort of like self-improvement sort of space, there's always people saying reading's really good. Every successful person, or I'd say 99.9% of them, thank reading for their success. They're like, reading helped me so much, it got me where I am. It has immense knowledge. Now, I have read many books in the past. I've read some like 30 books in the past couple of years, and I know 30 books really doesn't sound like much, but just for, an average young guy, someone who was chronically addicted to video games and social media and still struggles with scrolling and that kind of crap every now and again, I'd say, 30 books in a few years really isn't too bad at all. In fact, it's really good for someone like me, and just for, an average young man to be able to sit down and read a lot of books is a really good thing, even if it's not like, oh yeah, I read 50 books, I read 70 books a year. It's like, well, okay, who the fuck gives a shit, right? Just the act of sitting down and learning anything, any time spent learning is better than scrolling. And so I've read many books before, I've got tons of books around me, and yet I find reading such a hard habit to get into. I've watched so many videos of it, I've done all these tricks and things, but I always have these big long phases where I'm just not reading. And reading is easy. Like, if you want to like read a book per se, all you got to do is get the book, open it, and just read a page. After doing that, you sort of get in the flow of it by then, and it's easier to keep on reading. And if you're not in the flow, then you just put the book down and try again in like half an hour or something. But for some reason, as recently, I've just been struggling to do that very simple task of merely picking up a book and opening it. It's like reading hasn't really crossed my mind for some time. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. it Reading's interesting. If you have an answer to this question, or you want to share some insights, please like leave a comment down below. I'd love to get in a discussion with that, because it really is, some of these habits are very interesting in the sense that it's like, they're good for you, they're good for you, and yet there's always struggling to do them. And habit trackers are really good for that. I've been living the past month without a habit tracker, and it shows how powerful they are, because I haven't uploaded a YouTube video in about a month, and I've been horribly inconsistent with that. And I haven't really been using a habit tracker then. The last habit tracker I had, I filled it out for about 8 days, and it wasn't even half complete, and then for some reason I just stopped. And I don't want to make that mistake again. So I've got the habit tracker on my wall all the way down there. It's going to be in my face. Before, I had it inside a drawer on my desk. And it worked for some time, but then eventually it didn't. So I'm hoping the habit tracker is going to sort of get me back on track. I've got meditation, gratitude, exercise, and reading. Those 4 core habits. As usual, there's a plane flying over my videos. But I'm hoping the habit tracker is going to get me back on track. The habit tracker usually helps me out a lot in the past. I have a great success rate with it, so I'm hoping that's going to get me back into reading again. But if you've got anything else you'd like to say as to why, for some people, reading might be just a difficult thing, even though like I understand the benefits of it, I've seen it, I've lived it, I've done it. I've read 30 books in the past few years, so I'm not unfamiliar with reading. And it's an odd one. It's a really odd one. When I have days where I read, you know, like for an hour a day, I feel way better than days where I scroll for like 2 hours, 3 hours, even like 15 minutes. I feel much happier when I read rather than when I scroll. It's way better for the mental health, better for the eyes, better for the brain. It's better for everything. Social media is such a fucking virus, man. My screen time has skyrocketed this year. It hasn't been a great start to the year, but I'm hoping to turn that around with habit trackers and getting back on track with reading and that. Anyway, that's it for this one. Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I'll see you in the next one. I got a free community down below. Top link in the description. I'm sort of tossing and turning between it being paid or free, but you can check that link out and join the community and share some thoughts. Love to see you in there.